Good morning, good evening, rather, traders. Happy Wednesday, July 30th to you from here in Kansas City. It's about 8 o'clock Central Time here in the area. We are underway in the early part of the Asian session, so good morning to you across the pond. Here's what you need to know for the trading day. So the U.S. dollar rose to new multi-week tops underpinned by firmer results from U.S. fundamentals and the upbeat tone from Chair Powell at his press conference after the Federal Reserve left its interest rates the same as largely expected. The U.S. dollar index rose further and approached the 100 zone, that all-important 100 psychological level, which is also the two-month peak amid rising yields, solid results from the U.S. docket, and an upbeat tone from Chief Powell. By the way, he was wearing his purple tie today, just to note. So the PCE is due alongside personal income spending, the employment cost index, the Chicago PMI, challenger job cuts, and the weekly initial jobless claims. The Federal Reserve monetary policy statement highlighted that growth of economic activity moderated in the first half, though the unemployment rate remains low and inflation remains somewhat elevated, as pointed out. Furthermore, added that the committee's commitment to achieve maximum employment and inflation at a rate of 2%, that all-important 2% rate, and acknowledged that uncertainty about the economic outlook remains elevated. The U.S. economy rebounded strongly in the second quarter of 2025, with the gross domestic product report rising. It did rise 3% quarter over quarter, outperforming the expectation of 2.4%. And recovering from the negative 0.5% contraction recorded in quarter one. So very good surprise to the upside there for the dollar. And that, of course, is according to the Commerce Department. Meanwhile, the ADP National Employment Report showed private sector payrolls did surge by 104,000 in July. And that easily surpassed forecasts of 78,000 and reversed June's 33,000 job decline. So quite a good surprise there as well. However, the housing market did show signs of strain as pending home sales dropped 0.8% month over month in June. And that's, of course, following a 1.8% gain we had in May. The decline was largely attributed to elevated mortgage rates. And regarding the ECB's monetary policy, Deutsche Bank does not expect further cuts and hints that the next move would likely be by the end of 2026. So moving on to some of the currencies, Euro US dollar did retreat to new multi-week lows, came closer to the 1.14 support in response to the continuation of the upside impulse in the greenback. The unemployment rate in the euro area is due, seconded by Germany's flash inflation rate. The euro dollar prolonged its losses for the third straight day, collapsed over 1.2%. As the Federal Reserve, of course, held the rates, and Jerome Powell tilts hawkish. Also, strong growth figures in the United States and a scarce economic docket in the Eurozone pushed the pair below 1.143. Down so far in the week over 2.71%, so quite the retracement from the levels it was at. The shared currency extended its fall as Fed Chair Powell adopted a cautious stance without providing forward guidance, as he always does, in regard to the September meeting. He added that uncertainty on the impact of tariffs on inflation set a higher bar for the Fed to reduce rates. Powell did say that tariff pass-through through prices may be slower than thought. The Fed did decide, of course, to maintain the rate at the 4.25 to 4.5 range, at least until September. And that was on a 9-2 vote split, by the way. Governors Waller and Bowman did dissent. They opted for that 25 basis point cut. I believe I read somewhere where it was the first time in like 35 years where two or more governors dissented from the Fed chair themselves. So moving on to data in the U.S., it did show that the economy recovered strongly as, of course, the GDP beat estimates, like I pointed out earlier. Earlier data revealed the labor market rebounded strongly as private companies began to hire after worse than expected ADP reports in May and June. So quite the turnaround we've had there. Economic data in the EU revealed that GDP for the bloc expanded by 1.4% year over year in Q2 of this year. And that's down from 1.5% expansion in the first quarter. GDP figures in Germany showed that the economy grew from 0 to 0.4% quarter over quarter. Again, that's Q2 of this year. Germany's retail sales for June rose 1% month over month, and that's up from a minus 1.6% contraction in May. That, of course, exceeded forecasts of the 0.5% growth that they had. The docket for the remainder of the week is going to feature core personal consumption expenditures. That's the PCE report for short. Initial jobless claims, non-farm payroll figures, and the ISM manufacturing PMI. That's the Purchasing Managers Index. And just to finish with a couple other currencies real quick, pound dollar did revisit the 1.323 zone for the first time since early May against the backdrop of exacerbated selling pressure on the British pound and the extra advance in the US dollar. Next on the UK calendar will be the nationwide house price index and the final S&P Global Manufacturing PMI on August 1st. US dollar, Japanese yen did resume its uptrend and advanced to 3-month tops near the 149.5 mark, flirting at the same time with its key 200-day SMA. Next on tap in Japan will be the Bank of Japan's interest rate decision. That is coming up a little bit later on here in another couple hours or so. Also, industrial production, retail sales, and foreign bond investment figures all due again here within a few hours. So that's it for the dollar JAP. Aussie US dollar, it did collapse on 5-week lows near the 0.642 level, where its provisional 100-day SMA sits, always following the strong performance of the greenback, of course. Retail sales will be at the center of the docket, seconded by building permits, private house approvals, and import-export prices. Moving on to crude oil. Crude oil prices picked up pace and surpassed the key $70 mark per barrel of WTI in response to further U.S.-Russia effervescence and persistent trade jitters. Gold prices resumed their downtrend, and they did approach the $32.70 mark per troy ounce on Wednesday as investors gauged the recent set of strong data releases and prospects of a longer prudent stance from the Fed. Silver prices added to Tuesday's pullback and flirted with the 3-week lows around the 37.5 mark per ounce. And then the last piece of news before finishing with the economic calendar, President Trump, he did announce a trade deal with South Korea, and that agreement includes a 15% tariff rate on imports from the country, while the U.S. will not be charged a tariff at all. And that's according to Trump on his True Social post, of course. So he stated there, South Korea will be completely open to trade with the U.S., adding that they will accept American product, including cars, trucks, agriculture, etc. He also said that the deal features a $350 billion investment from South Korea in the U.S., as well as purchases of liquid natural gas and other energy products. So I believe he started with a 25% tariff, and so they basically bought their way out by throwing in the $350 billion to drop at 10%. So that's just a little bit about how he kind of does his deals. So yeah, final look at the economic calendar to finish up, and then we'll jump on the charts. Again, what we've got going on the rest of the day is the Bank of Japan policy rate. They're at 0.5%. They're expected to keep it the same. And that's basically it. 2 out of 3 have remained, have kept their rates the same, Canada and the U.S., and now we'll see what Japan's got later on. And then the only thing we've got tomorrow, Thursday, as far as the U.S. is the PCE data, employment numbers, and then Canada's GDP. So that's about it from here. I'm going to jump on with Coach Paul. He's going to talk some futures. I'll talk some Forex, and we'll get the show on the road. So back to you. What's going on, Coach
Hello.
Paul?
Hey, nothing much. I mean, nothing much, and by nothing much, I mean a lot. My goodness, today was an interesting one after 2 o'clock. So, geez, Louise, with
Quite
all
the
the
day,
news
huh?
and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, especially at the end of the day after the cash close with the earnings. My goodness, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft, and Meta, ARM. Qualcomm. I mean, so many earnings and the Nasdaq just absolutely exploding to the upside.
Woo! I see that. I see that now.
Yeah,
Meta
just
just
getting
Meta went
getting
crazy.
right. It really did. It was
Wow.
up, I think, 10%. I haven't
Looks
checked
like it
it in the last few minutes, but man,
looks like it ranged 12.5% as far as range goes. But yeah, down to
yeah.
11.75%. Wow. Yeah, I forgot you mentioned that yesterday about the earnings coming out. Amazon.
Yeah,
Amazon had a little spike. The Nvidia, Microsoft. Yep, spiked pretty well. Wow, that was a spike.
dude. The Microsoft earnings were, yeah, crazy too. I I am a little bit like, I'm not like at a loss for words necessarily, but I am just like dumbfounded how this market just continues to be so resilient, um
Yeah,
and especially these tech companies are finding ways to just continue to just dominate things. So that means the markets go up essentially. So when tech's dominating, the markets go up for the most part. So I'll be
we live in
looking
a
to try and trade the NQ tonight. Definitely.
yeah,
Gold was also a little volatile today as well. You might have seen. So yeah,
yeah.
you actually were saying it on the news, and so maybe there'll be a gold trade, but I really do want to make a trade or so in the NQ. That's for sure.
You know, it's funny. Gold for the first time since I've been using this Edge Finder software for my fundamentals. For I think this is the first time, but gold is actually giving me a bearish rating of a -5. That's the first time I've seen that
Oh
for
wow,
gold, and it makes
wow,
total sense. I mean, because of all this data. Yeah, it was a really good day for the dollar. It was a really good day for the indices. Really bad for gold. Obviously, it's typically the inverse, right? So I'm probably not going to
yeah,
sell gold, but it's just interesting to see it jump into the negative.
yeah,
According to the fundamentals. So,
definitely.
but
Shout out to
yeah, we had
the chat real quick. We got Investigenics in the chat here. Waliet, Elmer, Octopus. We got, yeah,
hello,
like you
hello,
guys,
everybody.
dude. You guys are blowing up the chat. I love it, man. Thanks, guys. It's good to see
Right.
everybody. See if I can't, if anybody was mentioning anything here. Uh, no, yeah, just everything's been crazy. If you guys have any questions or anything, just let us know. Obviously, always welcome to look at any charts that you guys want us to look at. But obviously, today with the Nasdaq was the Nasdaq, and I guess you could say even the Dow at one point. I mean, the Dow was selling off before everything else. But then obviously like
Yeah.
uh, once the speech came out and everything, and the questions were being asked to Powell, like then everything just started dropping. But yeah,
Yep.
um,
Well, yeah, the Dow, of course, it likes to do this, of course, when I'm asleep, right? When I'm fast asleep. But it dropped right into one of my 4-hour demand zones where I had an alert set, and it's bouncing pretty nicely now to the upside. So uh, might have, I don't know. I'm just looking at the price action here. I might have, I don't know. Yeah, I might have gotten into that, but let me. Yeah, I'll tell
yeah,
you what. If it comes down to that low point, I could see myself maybe taking a small position on it because it's right into a pretty good level of support. I had a demand
right,
zone drawn up 44,380. It looks like about 44,380. Yeah, all the way down to 44,230 ish, or whatever that bought, 44,238. So, but I probably would have avoided it anyway because I've been really paying attention to the Nikkei. And same
Mhm.
thing, it dropped in. It same thing. It's when I'm asleep. That's when I miss move. Dropped right into my 10-minute demand zone I had, and then up she went. I'll point it out in a minute on the charts, but yeah, it's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's just funny. Me and Coach Michael, that does the stream with me. We were doing the morning sessions as far as the ramp up goes before we went live with the regular streaming hours, and we were complaining about missing moves at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when the European session came in, and so then we moved to that session, and so then we said, well, we got no excuses now. But now we're missing New York session things because we got to sleep sometime, or at least I do, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you can't get away from it.
Like
The brain needs some rest.
a 24-hour
Uh,
market. Yep. It's just
and I
ironic.
am I am genuinely you know with the problem with like this environment that we're in right now, especially with me wanting to take trades in like the Nasdaq, is I essentially have to go purely off of order flow instead of using my guardrails with like the TPO charts and stuff. And I have to kind of go off of um, relative, I guess, support and resistance based on like this essentially the last 6 hours or so, or I guess like 7-ish hours or so, because we are genuinely, again, we're like in the overnight, we're at all-time highs on the Nasdaq right now, and there's just nothing to look at aside from there being pullbacks into areas where maybe
Yeah.
there was some consolidation and we can find support. So it's kind of like rudimentary technical analysis in these overnight session, or in this specific overnight session. It's going to be a tough one, I think, but exciting nonetheless. So I think there
Yeah.
will be a trade to be made. I just won't have my normal guardrails that I would usually have with my market profile stuff, but we can still figure some things out
Oh,
with
yeah.
order flow and whatnot. So
Yeah. Did you have anything on a chart you wanted to show at the moment? See what you're
I
looking
just
at?
have the Nasdaq. I just have the Nasdaq chart
Okay.
up. But
Okay.
if you want to look at anything, if you have anything specifically you want to mention about a pair or anything, and then I can let you know if I like
Yeah.
jumping into a trade, or yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and bring up my chart back in. While you're doing that, I'll just take a quick look at my fundamental algorithm, my setups, just to see what's changed. What's changed since I was on stream early this morning, right? So yeah, after all the dust shakes out from all the reports we had, of course, last night we had the Aussie report come out for their blah blah blah. What was that? Their CPI, yeah, their inflation report, right? So that really kind of kickstarted changing some things around for me as far as what I'm watching fundamentally. They had a very poor readout for their inflation report. Forecasted zero point 0.8. They actually had a 0.7. So obviously that's bad, or I should say it's slightly negative for the Aussie dollar, but it's good for their market. So that's one of those double-edged reports, right? It's
Yeah.
good for us, or well, I should say it's good for the people of Australia when they go to the pump, go to buy groceries, food, whatever. So, but it affects the currency the inverse, much like the U.S. and gold are kind of an inverse relationship. So, yeah, Coach Michael was saying that he was in a trade at that time, and it slipped his mind that CPI report was coming out. So it ended up waking against him, stop him out for a small loss. And so he was telling us about it today. He's like, "Yeah, I made a rookie mistake." So uh, the economic calendar is our best friend, right? It's our best friend. We got
Yeah.
we got to stay on top, knowing those red folder events are coming out. But anyway, so after that all shook out, pretty much all of the Aussie currency pairs jumped onto my bearish list. So yeah, we've now got the Australian pairs there along with the British pound pairs. So any chances I get to sell the Aussie dollar, sell the British pound, I'm taking it. So having said that, I am actually in the euro British pound trade right now. Partly because of the euro trade deal that they got taken care of the other day, but also that the British pound data has just been kind of going backwards. If I look at the economic surprise meter, it's sitting right at 50%. So it's on the lower end. The British pound is, as far as missing some of these recent reports that have been coming out. Nothing has changed as far as the strongest currencies. It's still the New Zealand dollar, won, euro, and then the Swiss franc. So that's essentially why I paired the euro with the pound to buy the euro, sell the pound, because euro's giving me an 83% positivity rating. Again, British pound is neutral at 50. But I did also see that after the rate decisions and after the GDP report came out for the U.S., it's quickly jumping. So this morning, before all that came out, it was sitting at about a 54% as far as the surprise meter. It's jumped all the way to 62%. The U.S. dollar has. So yeah, that's another one that's put some pairs onto my top setups. Things like dollar Canada dollar, it's actually up there now for a bullish score of a 7. It actually jumped all the way to a 7 after the report shook out. And then we also had the Aussie US dollar pair obviously come on for the bearish side. Pound US dollar, it's been on there for 3 days, and it's my strongest bearish bias right now, the pound US dollar at minus 12. So that's really probably my number one watch list item, pound dollar. And then as far as the euro pound, it's still actually it's the second strongest, so it's given me still a score of a 5. So it's kind of retraced some of the strength. I think people are still trying to make heads or tails of the euro deal, the euro US trade deal, but because I have a bullish rating, I went ahead and jumped in. So let's do this. So euro pound. Actually, I want to go to my other screen real quick so I can get my right analysis up. Okay, euro pound. I was looking at this one for a while on a 4-hour chart because I saw all this sideways action right here where I put that rectangle around. I looked at that as more of a retail area, more of a fair value area. So, anytime we can leave that box on either side, we should start running into some institutional demand. So I did see this 4-hour demand zone right here, that green candle or that green rectangle inside of the daily demand zone. So that's the confluence I love to see. Shortly after our stream ended this morning, just going down to a smaller time frame, it did kind of bounced in right here. And then I just kind of waited for that green candle right there, because we hit the zone and then we kind of went sideways, kind of created a little bit of an indecision point. And here, let me get rid of my drawings so you can see it easier. But yeah, it pretty much printed all these upper wicks, lower wicks. So, and that's after it had bounced into the zones, right? So I was basically just waiting for an exit point. So I ended up getting in on this 15-minute candle here after it closed. It closed, and then I actually got in on this candle. That's right. So this candle closed, and then as soon as this candle broke the high, that's when I got in. So yeah, as you can see, it went up pretty nicely for a while. While I was sleeping, it kind of retraced. But ever since the Asian Open, it's been looking up. So obviously on thin liquidity. But then when when it was 7 o'clock here, so the early part of their trading session, then you can see that's where the volume started to pick up. So I love it. I like that. I like the volume starting to pick up, and it gave me those initial green candles. So we'll see. At this point, I'm at the mercy of the market. I've got quite the stop loss on it all the way down here, just below this point here. So yeah, we're sitting around about 40 pips, but keep in mind the euro pound is one of the slower moving currencies. So it moves on average about 44 pips a day, right? So that's essentially how much of a range I've got until that would be stop loss would be hit. So yeah, I'm in this for the long haul. This will be obviously a several day trade, but it all started because of that retail playground right there. That's where people are playing around, getting chopped to pieces. Price left to the upside, collected liquidity. Banks push it down, collect liquidity underneath. Oh, by the way, there's unfilled orders in these demand zones. So that's essentially why I jumped into that. It's a high probability play, especially with a
Yeah.
bullish reading. So, and that exact same pattern played out on the Nikkei again while I was asleep, which I'll just flip on over here. Let me see. Yeah. So I was basically looking at, well, not quite similar, but but this is the one that spiked on us hard on Tuesday of last week. So it's retraced all the way down to, I believe that was the 61 level. Yeah, 61 level. So I decided to get in on this spike. But this is the one I think I was pointing out with you on stream last night, or maybe it was the morning stream. But it just kind of, when you look at it on an hour time frame, it had this nice contraction box here, creating fair value in that small time frame. But yeah, price pushed up for liquidity, down for liquidity, up a little higher for more liquidity, and then down for more liquidity, and then bounced into the 10-minute demand zone. So, yeah, look at that. It's just reacted perfect, just exactly like my projection tool put, how I put it this morning. So it's run off and left me. I can't chase it. I can't give in to FOMO, right? But that's essentially what people are probably doing in this area, right? They're just these people trading in these two candles are clearly buying breakouts of like this top here. So yeah, it's at this point just ran away from me. Just chalk it up to I guess I just can never sleep again.
Exactly. You gotta drink 10 cups of coffee every day and shock yourself awake when needed.
Give me a caffeine tablet and a Mio Energy. Typically what I do.
I do quickly before I forget. I do quickly want to mention the giveaway really quick before we get back to the charts.
Yeah,
we are doing the 50K giveaway, 50K account challenge giveaway tonight, and we'll be announcing the winner live towards the end of the stream. So there's a few things that you need to do in order to be entered for the drawing. The first thing that you must do is subscribe to both YouTube and Instagram handles. So the YouTube Hola Prime TV and Hola Prime Global YouTube channels, and then also the Instagram handle for both of those. Then comment on the live session like you guys have been doing. And then last but not least, you need to put your email that we can contact you with in the bio of your YouTube channel. So just go up to your YouTube channel, click on it, click the button that says customize channel, go to your description area. That's your bio. Put your email in there and save it, and you're good to go, and we'll reach out to you. So we will be picking that winner later tonight. And yeah, it'll be, a 50K challenge account is nothing to scoff at. That is for sure. So definitely make sure you're all situated to be able to be eligible to win. And that's all right, now that I will stop interrupting you and let you get back to your chart. But yeah.
We want to get that info out ASAP so people can update your bios if need be. Give you some time to do so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just while you were going over that, I was just looking. It looks like we got Australia has retail sales coming out in about a minute. Their previous reading was a 0.2% increase. That's month over month. They are projecting to double that today to 0.4%. So, yeah, here in about a minute and 10 seconds, that number will come out. Um, yeah, if it gives, I mean, regardless, I'm going to stay bearish on the Aussie dollar. It's showing as a yellow folder event, so medium impact. I would have thought, well, because it's the month over month number, probably not the year over year, but yeah, either way, that'll be coming out here in a few seconds. But just thought
Yeah,
it'd be cool to watch it as it releases.
We
Yeah,
do have
this
a
is what I
poll real
was looking
quick.
at.
If
Oh, we
everybody
do?
wants to, by the way, apologies. We do have a poll. If everybody wants to vote on it, and basically just asking, how's your trading week going? Just give her a little vote. Give her a little vote, and then I might be getting a little greedy here, but give the stream a little thumbs up if you can. It would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, give that poll a
Right.
vote. How is your trading week going? And also comment in the chat here and let us know how everything's going, what you've been trading, etc. So yeah.
Heck yeah. Where'd Aussie dollar go? I wanted to watch that real quick. It probably
Dude, the
won't.
Nasdaq's just going. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm missing,
Okay,
like,
Australia.
I missed a gold trade. I feel like I'm missing the Nasdaq. It's just everything is a little bit a little haywire at the moment. I feel like the Nasdaq's actually just grinding a little bit, but gold is being very touchy at the moment, I will say. But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, you're good. I was just looking at the Australia retail sales number just came out. Oh my gosh. Looked
Okay.
like it was a good number. So they had a projection of 0.4, and they did get 1.2. So that's a nice number for them. Really nice number. So we should see a little bit of a uppy, spiky type of a price action, but we shall see. As always, there. I'm trying to make it smaller. There. That's what I'm trying to do. It's good to get it done, but yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty good report for them. Now again, overall, I got Australia dollar as more of a bearish sentiment, bearish bias. So I mean, look at that, spikes up into this 1 minute supply. I mean, supply and demand works good on all time frames, but just that initial reaction bouncing nicely off of this supply candle. So just interesting to watch that. But
Yeah.
this what else I was wanting to show y'all. Dixie. So I did see today the Dixie finally achieved higher low and a higher high. So obviously the Dixie, the dollar index, has been going down for quite a bit. Week and a half ago, that surprise meter I told you about, it was giving me like a 45% rating, expectation win rating, heat map. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, get my word out. And then it went to the 50s, and then again today it went from 52 up to 6 or 6. It went from 54 to 62. So as a result, looks like we got the U.S. dollar might be curling around. This is a daily time frame, of course, but I did mark out these overhead resistance points yesterday because we were just down in this area, and we finally got a close. So does that mean we might be at the start of a little bit of an uptrend for the dollar now? Right? We shall see.
Maybe.
I mean, that's a really good conviction candle right there, going all the way through these former resistance points. So we could be at the start of a dollar turning around and moving up. And again, with that, might even start looking to buy the dollar. Dollar CAD is already on my bullish bias to buy, and then, like I said already, pound dollar, Aussie dollar for a short sale opportunity. So. Does that mean we'll be, who knows? This might be the start of a bigger uptrend, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially if there's like a little bit of a quote unquote surprise and we keep rates higher for longer. I think I saw, was it the Fed Watch tool after markets closed, like before, like during the speech, the Fed Watch was saying like there was a 60 something % chance of a cut in September, and then after close it was saying like 40 something percent chance. Was that correct, or do I have to look at that again? Let's see what the Fed Watch tool
I got it.
says.
I got it right here. Let's see what we got here. Looks like
Ooh.
58. Oh, wow.
Yeah, see
How
what I'm
about
talking
that?
about? 41% chance of cutting, 58% chance of keeping. So
Let me see. September. Yeah, because
that's
so yesterday, that's crazy because yesterday when I saw this, it was more the opposite. It was showing about a 60% chance of cutting, but it's
exactly.
flipped, huh?
Exactly.
Wow. How about that? Okay, so that's September. So October finally has a little bit of a higher chance of rate of cutting it.
Hmm.
October is 47.6% chance of cut, and only 37% chance of keeping it the same. So wow, they could. I mean, that's close enough to where you could argue either way.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
December, just around the year out, December is showing the highest percent of 400 to 425 as well. So wow, did that take away one of the two rate cuts we were expected to see this year? Guess we'll find out. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, I think it kind of it makes sense to me, generally speaking, because even though Powell didn't really necessarily say too much. By the way, I got long one micro gold contract about a minute ago. I
Okay.
saw. We can switch to my screen quick, and I can
Yeah,
share
yeah. Let's
and
flip to
explain.
Paul back in.
Yeah, and so my thought on Powell was he didn't really say necessarily too much that we were all surprised with, aside from
Hmm.
kind of confirming what a lot of us have been thinking and saying it out loud. Like, he hasn't said a lot of these things necessarily out loud. It's just been like kind of logical to us. To some of the things were just essentially very logical, but like they haven't come out of his mouth yet.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding, like, obviously he's always said he's data dependent and all that stuff, but how tariffs can, we can expect some of those prices to be passed on to consumers with all the tariffs, and like hearing him say that just sounds hawkish. And then hearing
Yeah.
him also say, obviously we know, and he's said that we are very uh, data dependent on like unemployment. Obviously, that being one of the two things, inflation and unemployment is what two their two main mandates. But him saying how like there's a large focus on unemployment at the moment, not as much on the inflation side of things, but an unemployment, I think gives us a little bit of a hint of like that's going to be really important the next 2 months, seeing those figures coming out. And I think the markets are going to be a little bit more sensitive to those figures, however they do any unemployment or relatively like job openings or whatever, just employment stuff in general will be
Mm-hmm.
very sensitive. And then on top of that, him also saying at one point that his concern is not with growth, relative growth. It's like, generally speaking, it's about the unemployment and inflation. Like, that's their concern. That is interesting. It's just like, it's kind of him not saying much, but like reading between the lines, there are things to be, there are discussions to be had, or insinuations essentially that could be had with him saying something like that. He could basically be saying that we could go into some sort of growth contraction, and that's not his concern. He just wants to make sure things are relatively getting healthy between the employment numbers and inflation staying on track. So kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me explain this gold trade now. On this candle here, on the 9:30 p.m. Eastern time candle, 5-minute candle, I essentially, you saw that spike in volume here, like the larger volume bar, the white volume bar. As soon as I saw that
Mm-hmm.
and it closed, I immediately got long. And then we did actually push up quickly, and I was in the money like $15 or something. But it is actually kind of struggling right now. Buyers did look like they got a little bit trapped at the 33.40 area, but we are pushing up here again, which is nice to see. Very nice. I would love to see some more volume come in because we only have, how many seconds do we have left on? We have about 40-ish seconds left on this candle here. So,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
45.
here we go. Come on. Come on. Let's
Come
go.
to Papa.
Please. Yeah, and and the reason I made this gold trade, like I was talking about earlier, with the NQ, I have to do like a little bit more of rudimentary technical analysis and just like basic, volume profiles or volume like order flow stuff to get into a trade.
Mhm.
With gold, I
Right.
actually do have market profiles to look at that we could be using as like profit targets or areas of possible resistance, because as you can see here, in the before the end of the cash session in the equity markets, we dropped significantly, and then at 4 p.m. Eastern time we based out here, and then ever since then we've been climbing back up. So bullish uptrend, and 33.42 is essentially the low of the open outcry session for gold, which ended at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. So we could see this area could be resistance. This 33.42 area could actually be resistance. But my thought being
Mhm.
is, with the bullishness at the moment, get in the uptrend, hopefully see, I mean, we don't like to say hopefully, but at this point, what I'm looking for is just some volume, some buying volume to come in, push above the low of this previous outcry session, and maybe try to get up into the point of control of that outcry session, which is at 33.51 ish, to see if we find any sort of value there, like if we find some comfort there from the
Mhm.
overnight participants. So there's just a little bit more structure to play off of with gold than there is with the NASDAQ at the moment. Obviously, we will continue to look at the NASDAQ throughout the next hour and 20 minutes, but at least there was something for me to get into gold and feel, a little bit more like I had a little bit more structure. So sorry, excuse me
Yeah.
there. Um,
No, good luck on
but
that.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it looks like
yeah.
I was just looking at that same asset. Looked like it kind of, so yeah, basically bounced into the Tuesday close, right?
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. So,
A little bit of a
well,
demand candle, 4 hour demand candle. Yeah, looks good to me.
I am looking
Just looking at
at
it
I
from
am
my
looking
brain.
right, right, and I am looking at for futures specifically. I'm looking at the December contract now, because I think the most volume is
Mhm.
being traded on the December contract, not on the September contract. So it kind of made a little bit of a switch recently. It did a roll, like there was kind of essentially like a roll, not an official roll, but the higher volume contract became December, from my understanding. So that's what we are trading now, and yeah, I
Nice.
come on. Let's see this. Let's see a push right here, a 5 minute candle push up into the, just at least the lower end of this previous outcry session. I would love to see that, because I have the target profit right now at this 33.44 area, not the 33.51 area that I was talking about. Um, that
Yeah.
might be a little bit greedy, but but I would like to see myself be able to get into one more contract, to then be able to get out of one contract here at 33.44 and then hold one hopefully to 33.51, which I can put right here, 33.51.
Well, you'll have to put the wind emoji underneath price. Point it upward, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you know, I don't want to get, you know what? I kind of do. Um, I think I'm going to get long another contract. I want to get long another contract right here. Yeah,
So
let's
did you
do
see
that.
some new buyers or sellers moving around there?
Yeah, yeah. I literally started seeing sellers get a little bit weak there in literally that last like 30 seconds, and um, I think we might break above the 3340 area uh, in the coming minutes. I'm hoping that it's in the next minute. Literally, I'm looking for it to happen like in this minute here. There's a little bit larger of an offer there, which I'm hoping is the liquidity that buyers want to see, and then like push through, maybe find some stops to run some stops, and we can get up to 3342 and retest that little high that we had about 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago. So would
You
really
know
like for
what?
gold to behave. Just behave,
Yeah,
gold.
behave gold. So I got a question for you, Coach Paul.
Yeah.
So I was watching you guys trade. What was it, Thursday, or it might have been Friday morning? Yeah, before I went to sleep, of course. Uh, Coach Sam was observing. There was like he said there was like a gigantic order on the screen, and he was thinking. He kept saying there's going to be something really big is going to happen. I just know it. I just see it. Something really big, but then price didn't really pan out the way he thought. I'm curious. Did he see like a gigantic order on there that like might have been a spoof order,
No, I
like where
think what he
somebody
was
just
talking
yeah
about was, I think he was so we're literally on gold right now. We are looking like we're failing a little bit. Very thin volume, just trading down, like buyers just gave up in the short term here. I do have
yeah
my stop at a decent bit down. It's like about 3.5 dollars per ounce down. So we do have some room here, but very thin volume, just traded. Anyway, so what he was saying was, I think he was looking at his footprint, and the footprint is
yeah
just calculating deltas of like aggressive buyers and sellers essentially. And I think what he saw was large orders going through on the footprint, but it was like buyers and sellers fighting with each other, and it
yeah
looked very odd to him based in that time, and he just immediately saw it to be um, unusual and thought that something was going to occur. Like one of those sides, what he thought was essentially very trapped and would not be able to hold up, and then it would just blow through that area, whichever the
that's
resistance or
right.
the support area. Yeah.
Okay, that was the footprint. I forgot. I was thinking it was the level two data, but so level two data, those are orders that people can spoof, right? They can put that order on and then take it off. Is that fair to say?
I mean, yeah, they can, and it's for it's obviously illegal to do. Technically,
Yeah,
there has to be,
yeah,
you have to be able to prove that there's a reason why you put it on and then took it off immediately. It's hard to prove that somebody is spoofing, to be quite honest, unless it's like
right.
provable, like consistently provable, or probably over time, and like there's some sort of forensics done showing, okay, why are you doing this literally every single day at this time, at this hour, all the time when these conditions
Yeah,
are met or whatever. But yeah, there are people that can do that, but that wouldn't show up on the footprint. So, because spoofing would just be,
right.
right.
Because footprint is orders that have already been done, correct? So
Exactly.
those are filled orders.
Exactly.
Yeah, level
Yes.
two is unfilled orders. Footprint is filled orders.
Mhm.
So that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, like I said in my head, I was thinking it was the level two that he was seeing that, but yeah, footprint makes sense. So never mind on that.
Yeah.
But no,
No,
that's
no, no.
a good
Yeah. It's
explanation.
a good question, though. It's a that's a good question though, because like that's extremely important to understand, for like very
Yeah.
important. And with all the mumbo jumbo like lingo, it can get just lost in like in many people's brains. It's just like, what are we even talking about? We were talking about aggressive market orders and then level two and footprints, and it's like, what are we talking about? The footprints of the bottom of my shoe? Like, what are we going? What do you
Right.
mean? What do you mean level two? Like, what game am I playing? Did I
Yeah.
just get past level one and now we're on? It's like, it's kind of funny that this like this terminology and like how it works in the like, honestly, in any profession, it's funny with the jargon,
Oh, for
but like
sure. For
very,
sure.
yeah, but very important to understand, because like Sam's I don't want to put any words in Sam's mouth or anything, or but like his general strategy is usually just finding trapped volume in small time periods, that then forces them, that then he gets in on the opposite side of that trade because they're forced to liquidate out of their position. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
Oh,
he is
good stuff.
very good at it. But by the way, he is extremely good at
Yeah.
it, and he's a scalper. He's the scalper of scalpers. So
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
props to Coach Sam
I
on
saw
his
his
scalping
what 10
abilities.
second. I saw his 10-second scalp this morning, right before I went to
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah.
He
It's
didn't even
so
have time to
funny, man.
explain it.
And it happened like 3 times. I literally, I was like, you blink and Sam's in and out of a trade. Like it's
Yeah.
so funny. And
That's
it
funny.
used to not be like that for him, and because he used to trade the ES a lot, and
Mm.
yeah, ES just being slower. But now with him trading the Nasdaq, it's just it's so quick and whippy, and he's just simply getting used to like all of the price action occurring. And with his scalping methodology, you do have to be a lot quicker on the button if his volume analysis on the footprint, um, with the volume analysis happening so quickly on the footprint, he has to be very quick to
Yeah.
execute and make a decision and be the quarterback, like we've talked about. Like that's a
Hmm.
whole other level of being a quarterback. So yeah. Come on,
100%.
gold, please, please. It is trying so hard. It popped back up again here. It wants to break through. It really feels like it wants to. We just formed another hammer candle on the 5 minute just a second
Yeah.
ago. The buyers are pushing. They're trying. I
Yeah.
just
That
want them to
magnet
go
helped me.
straight up. Yeah.
That magnet trade helped me a little bit last night. I think I ended up getting a small amount. I got out at a 1-to-1 or something like that.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it was a 1-to-1. Well, so I was in that trade. Like after you and I ended our session last night, that's when I started seeing the tsunami and the earthquake news coming out, because that pretty well was
Yeah.
going on pretty hardcore while we were on our stream. So I didn't see it until until we ended. And yeah, I think they said what, sixth strongest earthquake in history. I
Crazy.
saw that somewhere, 8.8. I'm shocked that the tsunamis weren't near as bad as they thought. I mean, they were just preparing like it was the end of the world, Hawaii and stuff like that. But thankfully, it
Yeah.
was just nothing more than like 3-4 foot waves. I think I saw, if I
That's
remember
good.
correctly. So because of that, I was like, I don't know. Initially thinking it was going to be pretty bad. I was a little, obviously at that time I was thinking, well, the Nikkei is probably going to spike down as far as the Nikkei 225, and it just kind of got real volatile there for a couple hours, up down, big wicks, and then it kind of smoothed out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was really kind of afraid of just staying in that index trade I was in. What was that, the Nasdaq that we got in, right? Yeah, at the same
Yeah.
time yesterday. So yeah, I just went ahead and locked in the 1-to-1 gains. I thought whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna lock in some stuff because who knows what who knows what the next several hours is going to bring with all the tsunami craziness, and obviously hitting the
Yeah.
west coast of California and Oregon and all that. So I thought, well, I don't want to be greedy on this trade. I'll just move it to the 1-to-1 trail stop, and we'll just let it do its thing. And sure enough, it turned around and came back. So.
Right. And actually, I do want to make a comment on that tsunami stuff, but really quickly, I want to mention something that I just saw out of the corner of my eye and kind of spooked me a little bit. I was about to possibly get out of my trade, but I decided not to because I felt like it might be actually bullish too. It's kind of a coin flip on whether or not it would be bearish or bullish. But we're popping up here a little bit now. There were a bunch of standing offers, a decent volume of standing offers between 33.41 and 33.42.50 or 33.43 essentially. And within a split second, once gold kept coming up a little bit, those orders completely dropped off and then flipped sides to the bid side. They went from the offers to the bid side, which is, you want to talk about, like, I'm not saying manipulation was happening necessarily. I am going to get out of one here, actually, and then I'm going to move this up here, and I am going to move this guy up here.
Yep.
So deal. Take $30 here and then see if we can't run higher. But okay, so or my point being, oh yes, come on, baby, let's go.
Keep on it coming. You have to raise your spaceship.
Yeah, I do. I do have to raise that sucker. I have to move it right here. Just get into the spaceship. Just go home. Go where you need to go. Mars, wherever you need to go. No, but so that is I feel like seeing that in real time is one of those things where it's really good to have some sort of relative heat map or something that shows you kind of where, like, the depth of market and where bids and offers are just constantly being like shifted, because my goodness, is that an odd, observing that kind of behavior is something where you get to really learn. You get to learn something. You get to learn something new, because now what I just saw was, with those bids being taken away, within 1 minute, we saw buyers push almost entirely through that area where there were offers. And then once it pushed through that area, it's now just pulled back to the beginning of that area where those offers originally were. And by the way, once that push up occurred and was finished, the bids got taken off that were shifted from offers to bids. Those bids got taken away. So like, it's just trying to understand what algorithms are doing. Like, are they trying to show liquidity up top and then pull it away, and then buyers are like, that was a fake out, and then they put the liquidity down at the bid side to show strength to push the market up. And it's just kind of like a game of just trying to figure out what these algorithms are doing. And you just start asking a bunch of questions in your head. You start getting really active. You start getting sucked into the bid offer, like the depth of market and
head games.
Yeah, you just really start thinking and getting the gears turning. And now there is a relatively big offer on gold at 33.46 at the moment. So let's just see what it can do.
Did you say offer or bid?
Yeah, offer. So at 33.46 is the largest amount of volume that is on the offer at the moment, and we are pushing. I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's go. I think overnight sessions might be my best sessions, Coach Tiger. I think we need to do this more often. We actually literally do it every night.
Didn't I don't remember which coach said it, but maybe it was Coach Sam. Didn't he say that gold tends to move quite a bit in the Asian market?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We talk about it, and it definitely
Yeah.
it has the ability to, for sure, with the thinner
But yeah.
liquidity, and then its relative relation, like internationally, like everybody knows what gold is. So I think it's got
Hmm.
more eyes on it in the overnight markets than you would think. But liquidity is
Yeah.
lower, so more volatile moves can happen. Logically, that makes
Hmm.
sense. So,
Kind of like
um,
Bitcoin. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Moving,
yeah, yeah,
moving
yeah.
using sessions. I might have
Right,
to get me
right.
one of the Hola Prime futures accounts because yeah, I do like the idea of playing around with the DOM and the level two. I call it level two data. I guess it's the same thing, right? Pretty close to it.
Yeah,
Pretty much to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
level two is what I've
Essentially.
always called it. But yeah,
Yeah.
looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I pay for a third party service that gives me the depth of market to infinity and beyond, essentially on both sides, and it's a little bit
Yeah.
visually different than other depth of markets, than just seeing like a ladder that shows you the bids and offers and whatnot, indefinitely. But regardless, level two data is and time in sales, like the time in sales combined with level two, so being able to see bids and offers being, or like bids and offers getting executed, and like the size of them being executed at the same time as the bid and offer ladder being adjusted. It's a lot to look at, but getting
Mhm.
those two in sync with each other is big time, and we are off to the darn races, and
There you go.
I am getting antsy here, and I would like to take some profit. But like it is just off to the. I mean, this is like kind of getting like it's just like an exponential curve at the moment, and which worries me a little bit. I don't want to be greedy here, um, and think that I deserve $110 and that it's going to go up to the point of control. So I think I'm going
Hmm.
to get out of this because it was just such a large move, and I don't want to see it fall back in my face. So
Yeah.
we're going to get out. We're going
There
to get
you
out.
go.
I'll take it.
That's
80,
good.
$80. $80. I mean, pretty great. I'll take that for sure. That was essentially that was the equivalent to a based on my original risk. That was a 1-to-1 trade, but the way that I
Hmm.
managed it made it a lot less risky than that, because once I got to like essentially I got $40 in the bank, or sorry, $25 in the bank, and it price had moved up enough to where I was able to move my stop on my other contract to break even. Um, we really made out like bandits there. I feel like, so that was awesome.
Yep.
Love that.
Better you better move your spaceship, otherwise it's going to suck it all the way up, and then you're going to be like, "Damn it, why did I get out soon?"
No, that is so true. That is so true. But at the same time, like we talk about, like like the thesis that I had. Don't get me wrong. The conviction, and the thought of migrating back up to point of control of the previous outcry session, is that super
Mhm.
logical and like a really good idea for a profit target? Yes, and that's literally why I took the trade. But the other thing you have to think of is, like, while the trade is playing out and you start seeing like the velocity of moves occurring and stuff, um, I like to see more so. I like to see just like structure constantly building, and it just like constantly being this, nice foundational structure building in the upward direction. Um, Nothing too crazy. But then when you start seeing, the gold literally in this last 10 minutes moved up $5 an ounce. And when you see something like that, you start thinking like, okay, it's kind of moving quickly here, and it could also move out of my favor quickly here. So maybe I should be taking some cheddar off of the table, as one
Well,
might
that's
say.
good because you're getting you a little hammer there, so might have been the right choice, huh?
Might have been, and if it wasn't, that's okay too. But we still have
Yeah.
how much time do we got? About a minute and a half until that
Hour.
candle even closes. So,
Uh huh.
but
Yep.
yeah, and then on top of that, I was talking about 3346 on the depth of market was where a big 50 lot was hanging out, and
Yeah.
the
So that was a
bids
good
or
good spot.
right, and the
Yeah.
execution, the buy execution started thinning out on volume towards the top there.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
again, with like an exponential move up and then thinning volume, it starts getting a little weird. That's not to say that it literally right now could just do a U-turn and move
Yeah.
up to the spaceship. Um,
Yeah.
but it gets a little weird. It's not
Probability
like I'm
just drops a
just
little. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly the way to put it. That's you've definitely that is exactly the way I would put it for sure. I did not have those words in my brain, and you got it.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, I mean, it's the same. It's the same concept that I trade. It's just obviously a different way, but supply and demand. I mean, you clearly
yeah,
saw you saw the orders coming in. So what happens typically? Prices typically bounce from supply to zone to demand zones, just on all the different time frames. So no, I would have done the same
right.
thing. I'd have been out.
Yeah. And now I'm seeing a ton of bids being put in
Yeah.
between
Oh, back.
3342 and 3340. So now there's just bids stacking up, and I don't know if that's going to support gold. It looks like it is. It looks like it's supporting and it wants to move gold higher. Or there could be a seller that just decides to come in and just flush the just get some orders filled. Maybe they need to get out, like, or maybe it's a group of sellers that want to find that volume and just the liquidity and just take it out. It doesn't feel like that to me
Mhm.
at the moment. It looks like it's just more bid support, and buyers are just holding up the market. But
Mhm.
yeah, this is kind of like a coin flip area where I'm just like, nah, it's good. I mean, it could run up another $5 an ounce, and I miss out, but I'll take $80. That's on two micros in the
Make broke,
100K Prime
go
Challenge
broke, take a
account.
profit. Yeah,
Exactly,
exactly.
exactly. So true.
Playmondo says Bitcoin is going up again. I'll take a look at Bitcoin over here, actually.
Hey, Playmondo.
Yeah, Bitcoin has been on my bullish list for the last week or so. It's just a little bit, it's just playing around in the retail area at the moment. Uh, Back in, if you don't mind, flip over to my chart just for a second, and I'll show what I'm looking at when it comes to Bitcoin, as Paul probably secretly gets in another trade here in a second. uh, yeah, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. Well, while I'm waiting on my chart, so yeah, Bitcoin. I mean, I'm just looking at the recent reports on this thing. There's really only two reports that are going against my bullish bias. Only two when it comes to Bitcoin, and that's PCE, the personal consumption expenditure report, and the interest rate. That's it. But when you're looking at all the inflation data, the employment data, trend, seasonality, yeah, Bitcoin's getting some bullish readings. So bullish score of an 8. As always, 5 or higher is bullish. But yeah, just looking at Bitcoin on the chart, yeah, see, I've identified this zone as far as the just bouncing around in the middle. This is the chop zone, right? So yeah, definitely see Bitcoin going up. I just personally am very picky. I like buying on discount. So I really am looking for this, either one of these demand zones below, either this one here or this one here. I think I like this one the most. That's why I had my projection tool down there because, well, it's got a 1 hour demand zone within it. I think it was 1 hour within a higher time frame, 12-hour zone. So, yeah. So that last red candle down before the big spike up, in the context of this is a 12-hour zone as well. If I type in 720 minutes, which I don't use that very often, but hey, I'll go to whatever time frame gives me a good looking zone at the end of the day. If it's a 2 hour, if it's a 4 hour, 6 hour, 12 hour, a zone is still a zone because it works on all time frames. But yeah, there's the same area right there that I'm looking at. It's also kind of below this former resistance point over here at the 112,000 level. Resistance often becomes support. Never guaranteed. Nothing in trading is guaranteed, but we see resistance and becoming support and vice versa all the time. So, yeah, I'd love to see a spike in, see a nice spike into that area down here. I'm going to keep an eye on this zone up top, by the way. So that's why I'm leaving my alert there. And then, yeah, depending on how the volume shakes out once it enters the zone, that'll help me determine real quick if I want to try to take a stab at this zone or not. But if it fails, then that's fine. I'm not worried at all. I actually like this price better down here. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But, yeah, again, I'd have to see a deep retracement because I just look at this whole zone here as just it's fair value. So prices go sideways, ladies and gentlemen, because the buyers and the sellers agree on price, right? It's called fair value. So the whole goal in trading is to watch what happens when price leaves these types of ranges like this. So we know Bitcoin's obviously on a long-term uptrend. I want to buy undervalue. I want to buy a discount. I want my crab legs half off, right? So that's why I want to wait and see. And this may not happen. Look, Bitcoin's getting such a strong reading, it may just continue blowing to the upside, right? That's fine. Because at some point, Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does a lot, which is spike. So spike, go sideways forever. Spike, go sideways forever. Spike, go sideways forever. That was a little bit of a downward spike on this one, but it went sideways forever. And then it spiked up, went sideways forever, spiked up, went sideways forever. So Bitcoin, it's just got the most predictable, longer term pattern of about anything I've seen at this point. It'll just spike hard and go sideways. So, yeah, I may miss this move, right? It may continue going up, but at some point it's going to go sideways again forever. Because that's all it's done.
Yeah.
Right. But if it doesn't do that immediately and it wants to give me a little bit of a discount, hell yeah, I'm gonna take a stab at one of these two zones right here, that one or that one. So that's not too much to ask for. What's the calendar? Yeah, 3.5% discount to that zone. 7%. No, I'm sorry, 6% discount to that zone. So that's not a crazy thing to ask of Bitcoin, right?
No, but not at all.
Totally looking bullish for sure.
Yeah. I will say I'm looking at Bitcoin right now on the micro futures, the micro Bitcoin futures. Ooh, do I feel inclined to take a long? I've never traded micro Bitcoin futures before in my life. I've just started looking at them recently.
Yeah.
I have no market profile on Bitcoin futures, which is why I am not going to be taking a trade, because one of the core things that I fundamentally need to take a trade is to understand the market profile beforehand, to understand just like structure of the auctions that have occurred relatively recently, before I make any judgments, so that I have like better stop losses and profit targets. But man, like Bitcoin, we saw somebody Playmondo mentioned Bitcoin's going up, and that's why you were going into the charts there and talking about it. And I looked at the chart myself and I saw like 116,600 is where we are at on the micro Bitcoin futures, and right now we're at 119,000, and that's just in the overnight area essentially where this move was made. And it is looking so strong. It just pulled back into a VWAP and 50 period EMA area and then bounced off it immediately and it's going back up. And I've now got it on my third party software that shows me the depth of market and everything. And it's so funny because the volume that's transacted is so small at the bid and ask. And the bid ask spread is, by the way, 4 ticks wide. So the midpoint will be like 119,000, but it'll be 2 ticks to the downside and 2 ticks to the upside as far as an offer and a bid. So your trade execution is wonky. It's not like micro Bitcoin futures. The specs on it are every tick is 50 cents. So it's nothing super crazy. It's not like you're risking, $50 per tick or anything. It's nothing crazy, but it'll move on you really quickly. So
Yeah. Keeping an eye on this pound dollar opportunity right here. Had price drop from this supply area, and price is trying to do its base thing, right? Base, break the top, break the low, break the top. I'd like to see it break the low one more time and then come up to this zone right here for a short opportunity. That's probably one of the closer trade opportunities I have, because it's only currently about 15 pips away, but I'd like to see one more manipulation down to break this area here. Oh, I don't even have. No, I do have it on. Okay. So just basically playing with the liquidity, messing with the retail traders, right? Break low, break high, another break low, break high, look to collect liquidity, unfilled orders in this area, see if we can get a short opportunity. So yeah, because pound dollar, again, that's the most bearish pair I'm watching right now, -12. That's about as strong as it gets of a bearish opportunity. Yeah,
yeah,
I had
yeah,
before before it got so bearish, I was looking at this little retail area up here, and I was hoping that maybe we could get a kickback like I drew there, get some manipulation, bounce into that supply. But yeah, just ran off and left, and understandably so, because obviously the U.S. data came out really well. So dollar gained, British pound lost. So another thing I was looking at, Paul, is this was a former demand zone I had right here. This was a 4-hour demand inside of a daily demand. So essentially, I just kind of looked at it as a reverse, kind of a former support potentially becoming resistance.
okay,
And that's why I left it. That's why I left the shadows of those zones up, just so I could see that it's going right through that area as well.
right,
Yeah.
yep,
So that's another kind of confluence. If I pull that zone forward, you'll see, you know, maybe that'll give me some confluence. So, I mean, if
yeah,
this thing comes straight up, I'd probably still be okay with, jumping into a short like that. I just would like to see one more expansion leg of manipulation before getting a final expansion leg, before finding the trend leg. That's kind of my thinking on the
yeah.
pound US dollar anyway.
Well, you know, I have to, I need. I was thinking, when you're talking about the pound US dollar and stuff, and I was thinking, I was talking to you about how I want to eventually jump into like a Forex future at some point and tag along with you on a trade or something. Do
Yeah.
some analysis myself on a pair, combine your expertise on a pair, and see if there's, at some point in any session, I can, jump in on a trade or whatever in a pair that you're trading in as well. And then I
Mm-hmm.
remembered then I re- then I remembered that I
I'm getting
don't
the
think
same
I
thing
have an
here.
ability to trade them at the moment because of my need to be a more of a risk manager with the products that I trade and have the ability to trade the micros. And because if I trade one of the Forex pairs, it's not going to be like a micro structure. It's going to be a more of a little bit more risk than I'm willing to take. And because I was just thinking, it was you talking about GBP USD like was getting me thinking about the euro a little bit, and then the yen, like I've talked to you about before. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm can't wait to get into that. And then immediately I was like, I forgot. I don't think I can at the moment because I gotta stick to
Yeah.
lesser risk contracts. But I will get there one day. We will one day. And also, what made me think of that was the fact that it just made me happy that we both got into a NASDAQ trade last night and we both made some money on the same trade, which is pretty sweet. So, but I'll get there eventually with you, and I'll hop to your side.
Yeah.
I'll hop to your side, and we'll get to do the same thing.
Yeah, because I feel the exact same way you do about Forex, but me with futures, because I definitely want to start getting into it to, get back into some level 2 action. I mean, I loved level 2 data whenever I was trading, penny stocks, which we'll never condone on this channel, but it is fun if you need an adrenaline rush, right? It's really not so different. I mean, it's quite similar to the way you guys, scalp the futures, but it's not as predictable as
it's just not a different environment as all.
Yeah. But like I said last night, I mean, it's kind of nice when your trade gets just nothing but retail traders, because you can essentially use those bad habits on breakouts, and they actually work. So who knows? Maybe I'll teach penny stocks one day as well, how to do it the right way.
I actually think Playmondo has a question that you would be good to answer. Which Forex pair is beginner friendly? I think you've asked this or answered this before, but I can't remember what your answer was actually. So this will be good for me too.
Yeah, great question. And then I'll come back to this Aussie dollar. Actually, let me put my alert in real quick because it's pretty close. Yeah, it'll probably go off here in a minute, but I just don't want to miss that. So let me just throw that in. The short answer: dollar Japanese yen. That's the short answer. If I go back, the dollar Japanese yen was that Playmondo? Yeah, Playmondo. So the dollar yen, I think, is quite an easy one because it pretty well closely tracks the dollar index itself. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I haven't actually done this in a while. Let me see if that's still. Let me see if it still kind of tracks USD, JPY. Yeah. So you can see. So the dollar index is the candles, and then that red line is the USD JPY. So it pretty well correlates with the dollar index because the dollar. So the US dollar is Papa, and the JPY is a little 4 or 5 year old Johnny, right? It basically does what Papa says. Johnny does what Papa says. So it's kind of the same thing with the dollar, right? Anytime the dollar has great info, the Japanese doesn't really interfere. Like if the Japan has strong data, whatever, it'll affect it. But what I'm saying is just look how closely correlated they are. So it's just one of the easier ones, in my opinion, when you have good news come out. Well, you can almost bet it's going to go up pretty well. And it goes up quite quick too. So like some currencies, you can get a report come out positive, you can get it come out negative, and it may not move the market that much. But the dollar or Japanese yen, it actually moves quite a bit. So, but yeah, it's just the JPY is quite obedient to the Dixie or to the dollar. Now it moves a little higher. So let me just go look at the ATR on that real quick. Oh, and the other, that was it. Let me see here. Dollar JPY. Yeah, so I mean, and it moves. So it's got some pretty good volatility to it. If you wanted to trade something that's slower, maybe you want to trade something that doesn't move like crazy, so it won't wick in and out of like stop losses as easy. Well, the euro pound is a good one, which is the one I'm currently in. Let me get rid of that because it only moves about 40 pips in a day, right? So it says 444, but just drop the last digit, so 44 pips. So it's a relatively slower moving currency pair, and it trends pretty well. Get a nice uptrend for a while, get a nice downtrend for a while. It's not too crazy as far as a ton of wicks. It's just a beautiful trend. Let me go
Yeah.
back out to my daily. Right. So the ones to avoid, I'll tell you, it'd probably be easier to answer that question by telling you what not to trade. So just take a look. So you got, okay, pound Swiss. See how you got all the wicks up top, all the wicks on bottom. It just does a bunch of this whipsaw action, in other words. Okay, New Zealand CAD, kind of the same. New Zealand Swiss, that's not too bad. Let's actually just go through the majors real quick. Okay, so euro dollar. Trends nice. You don't see a ton of crazy whipsaw action. It's just nice trends. Pound dollar, just about the same. Dollar Jap, obviously. So when you look at the majors, you don't see too much crazy wick action. Dollar Swiss, dollar CAD. But when you start getting into some of the cross pairs, not these ones, because these ones are some of the higher ATR. I got to go a little deeper. Pound New Zealand, Euro New Zealand, New Zealand Jap. Let's go down here. Some of these other ones that go slower. Some of these other ones just get a little more wicky, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a good example. Aussie New Zealand. You get all the wicks up top, you get all the wicks on the bottom. It just looks like a wet, hairy dog, right? CAD Swiss, Euro Swiss. This is one of the worst, right? So you get all this crazy mangy looking stuff up top. It's a lot rougher looking than, here's another bad one, pound Swiss, right? All those wicks. New Zealand CAD, same thing. But you compare that to something like the majors, pound dollar, euro dollar, dollar Jap, it's just not as bad. It's just a lot cleaner looking. So it's just easier in a nutshell to be able to find a trend and catch on to it.
Yeah.
But or you could go to something that's a lower ATR pair, something that doesn't move too crazy fast. It's not going to whipsaw and cut you out of a trade too quick. I mean, I hope I kind of explained that okay, but above all, just find one or two, and then just learn the characteristics, because every one of these currency pairs have their own nuances that you should learn, should understand. Their own behaviors. How do they react to a GDP report that comes out? The interest rate decision, inflation data, all that. Some react stronger than others.
Yeah.
But you might just start off with something that moves a little slower. But the easiest way to do that is just simply look at the ATR again, and you can find that on regular ATR.
Yeah, ATR, what, before I actually get into that thought, because I do want to talk about ATR real quick. I do want to show you my screen real quick, Tiger. I really want you to see this.
Let's see it.
Here.
Go ahead, move on over to Mr. Paul's screen.
There are a few things in this world that make me extremely happy, and one of them is this chart that I'm about to show you.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, does it make me happy! Oh, look at that. That's what gold just did. So my outs on that other contract, there's nothing better than getting out close to a top. My out was right where that blue line is, and now it just went against that almost $4 or $3.50 per ounce. And it's funny, because I knew that the moment that I showed you this, I knew that maybe a reversal could happen because I was like, I bet you that I say this and then it just immediately reverses and goes back up to this spaceship here. But the idea of not having to sit through this kind of congestion, or like this congestion that we had here for, like, let's say 10 to 15 minutes, and then this downward move to hold out for the bigger move up to 33.51. Especially in an overnight session with gold, like, just makes me feel better. I would rather have not dealt with the emotion of, holding my original stop and allowing
Yeah.
that, $4 per ounce move go against me to then, essentially fingers crossed that the support area here at 33.41 holds for another move higher, like, and then into the end of our night session. But it's actually looks like it's
Yeah.
happening, which is pretty cool to see. I mean, and this is kind of, and it's pretty simple too. Like, I'm not even looking at my heat map stuff on gold right now, but just looking at like a 1 minute chart, you're seeing, an area of relative resistance here at like 33.41 break down, and then we break through it. We come back down and look at, what do you know? It gets supported right off of that area. So that could have been a good area for me to get actually back into a gold position just now, if I was if I was really paying attention to the order flow at the moment of when I just was showing my charts. But unfortunately, I was not. So, but yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was worth
you picked the top.
worth showing.
We're always told not to pick tops and bottoms, right? But you can pick tops and bottoms when you're finding a place to get out, right? For profit.
I mean, when it accidentally happened, I mean, I'm no like, none of us are have a crystal ball or anything, but every once in a while, when it does happen, man, do you feel good about it? Like, it's like, things are firing on all cylinders. Your analysis is really just hitting and firing, which is pretty sweet. So thanks, Octopus, for the perfect thank you, man. It was a good one. I mean, and like I was saying, it could easily find support here and actually rally back up into this zone of 33.51. But it's just nice to not have to deal with this kind of pullback when I'm doing a little bit more, scalpy trading, and it's only in a 2-hour trading session live here. So
yeah, you didn't give away your profits.
Fun. Yeah, definitely fun. So I do think we are going to be giving away that 50K challenge account now. Let me just get the name in front of me and then see if they're ready. If the back end is ready.
Find out. Who is the big winner today?
Odds are relatively good for everybody in chat. There's only a few of us here, so the odds are relatively good. So okay, so we are ready, and I have the name in front of me. The winner of the 50K challenge account is Octopus Zero. All right,
Octopus.
I love the name, by the way.
We love the seafood on the channel. Good job, man, Octopus. Yep. Have you had live octopus before?
Oh, not live. No, I mean, I've had octopus before, but not live. That's a whole. I didn't even know that was a thing. Is that a thing?
Yeah. Well, they wrap it around like chopsticks or something over somewhere in Asia, and then you have to stick the whole thing in your mouth and pull it off the chopsticks, and you have to swallow it ASAP, because if you delay, then their tentacles will come loose and they'll attach themselves to your throat and they can choke you to death. And people have died eating it. Yeah. So it's a delicacy, obviously. But my goodness, it's just the craziest. It's the craziest thing I've seen. I think I saw it on the Food Network or somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it, but yeah, you got to do it ASAP. You cannot delay.
Well, what I'll say is our viewer Octopus is probably choking on the fact that he just won a 50K challenge account, because that is huge, man. That is so cool. let us know you're still here and everything in the chat. Would love to
Yeah.
see your reaction. But and let us know, like, with the new challenge account, what are you going to trade? Or do you have any thoughts of anything you'd like to start trading? Maybe you want to get into some of the commodity stuff. Maybe you want to trade the equity indices. Maybe you want to trade Forex. So just let us know. Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are very welcome, my friend. We are happy to give these away and gives people opportunities to participate in the markets
I'm a
and
ding
learn.
dong. I'm a ding
Oh,
dong
you.
back in. Yeah.
That's,
There, I fixed it.
Tiger was in the wrong chat.
Wrong chat.
Oh
There we go.
man,
We good. We
love it.
good. Yeah. Aussie dollar, man. We're kind of close. We're fairly close. I
Yeah.
may possibly get back into it as a short here at some point. Aussie dollar is giving me a -10 score as well. So
Man,
we shall
what is
see.
the most bearish and the most bullish score you've ever seen on your sentiment system?
Mm-hmm. Uh, well, let me see. We had, I believe, a while back, Swiss Japanese yen was giving me like a 14 score, positive
So
14.
that's roughly like the extreme of bearishness, or like a
Yeah.
positive 14 would be the extreme of bullishness.
Yes. So -24 is actually the highest it goes, and then positive
Okay.
24 bullish side. So yeah, I feel
Okay.
like it's just been 14s, maybe a 15. Yeah, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's almost impossible to have everything going in the right direction, right? So, but
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's why there's a little bit of a scale. Just give me 5 or -5 or higher or lower.
Mhm.
-9,
Right.
that's what turns into very bearish. +9, very bullish. So yeah, yeah, you'd have to have all the stars aligned to have something up in the 20s or -20s.
Yeah. Something would have to be going really wrong or really right for whatever that country
Yeah.
is. Yeah, that's exactly why I was curious, because I was like, I was thinking
Mhm.
like net scores. I was like, yeah, I'm sure that it's not close to whatever. It's kind of like on the tick charts for the indices, for the equity indices. Um, there's like a max and a min, but they usually never get to the max or the min on the high end or the low end. So that's why I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was asking the question. So, but yeah,
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah,
Got anything else playing out
definitely.
over there? I think
Um, I'm sitting on my hands kind of at this point. Just
yeah.
watching gold a little bit. Those big those I was talking about the spoofing that was I was or not spoofing, but the the retractions of bids and offers on the depth of market, and then them being put back in different areas. That's still happening on gold. It's happening relatively frequently, like every 15 to 20 minutes now. It's happening instead of every 5 minutes like it was happening earlier.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the micro Bitcoin. I'll pull up that chart too, just for the sake of it, for fun. But it's so funny. Look at this. Okay, well, number one, the volume is horrendous on this. I mean, you want to talk about illiquid? I mean, it is very illiquid, but relative volume, you can at least make some general assumptions based on relative volume traded. And we saw that bullish move in the beginning of our session, and then it kind of dropped off here. And then as soon as we got to VWAP, larger volume was like coming into the markets again, and it got supported. And now it seems like it wants to try and, test the 119-300 area. But this is not something I'm trading. Like, maybe after watching it for a few weeks or a month or something and just getting used to seeing how it behaves with this insane illiquidity, maybe I'll take a stab at it at some point. But yeah, it's not anything I'm really willing to trade today or anytime super soon.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to like this time frame as well. Just kind of getting into the Asian market a little more. Things like this Aussie
Yeah.
US dollar short I'm looking at. I mean, Australia obviously in the thick of their trading day, so definitely could use some of that liquidity as well from Sydney and obviously Tokyo to short
Right.
this sucker because every one of Australia's pairs went bearish, just like the pound, man. So that's it. I got quite a few alerts set. Um, yeah,
Your
I'll
alert
hit
on the
whichever
Aussie
one.
didn't trigger, right?
No. It depends on the time frame you look at. So if we
Ah,
flip back to my chart real quick, I'll show you. Yeah, let's get on back over. Here we go. So yeah, I'm basically looking at it from the 1 hour time frame right here. So the bottom of the candle right there, that's where I put my. Now it's close, but yeah, I love the volume coming out of it. Look at that volume spread analysis candle. Just
mm-hmm.
sexy or ugly, depending on which way you want to look at it, right? um, but again, let me zoom in. Be easier to see. Yeah, so obviously we got the bottom of the candle. Now that's 1 hour. Now if you look at it 30-minute, it touched it, right? So it just kind of wicked in the bottom of it.
Right.
Well, I feel more comfortable using the 1 hour because the higher the time frame, the better the probability the zone will work. So 30-minute, while it's still a good one, it's just, according to the hierarchy, it's just not as good as the 1 hour. The 1 hour, it's not as good as the 4 hour. The 4 hour is not as good as the daily, and so on and so forth. So while I could get in, the volume dropped anyway. So basically, when the price went in, that 30-minute candle, you can see the volume actually went down. So that tells me that that wick's not the greatest. The volume that was within this 30-minute wick. Now that's the wick. So obviously, I'd probably look at the bottom of the body itself. So not the distal line. I'm sorry, not the proximal line of the candle, but the proximal line of the body. A lot of people
Yeah.
use the body itself anyway. I just like to use the wicks just to improve my chances of getting into a trade. But I'm starting to get to the point where I don't like to do that. I'm starting to get a little more partial to the body itself. But again, I'm looking at this on the daily or on the 1 hour, so that's why I'm going to the bottom of the body there. And then if I go down to 15-minute, same thing. I mean, the bottom of that. So last green candle up before the decline. And plus, I'm not really too fond of the fact that the green candle stopped there before price went clear up here. So it's just not as important to me as the daily. This is just the nitpickiness of, deciding which time frames, but it all has a big, it's got a big, it's a big of big importance. So yeah, and clearly when price did wick through, the volume, just like the volume. If that volume had spiked up double the size of that previous candle, then I would have given credence to that
Yeah.
wick on
Yeah.
the third, to that wick on the 15. If I step down, yeah, same thing. 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So the 5 minute and the 10 minute, if looking at the smallest time frame, actually looks good. But again, I mean, I guess the volume was a little bit decent down here relative to the previous candles. Let's look at this again. Okay, so there was a pretty decent amount of volume there, pretty decent amount of volume there. But the higher volume is, just in some of these upper candles. And then obviously that's the biggest volume right there. So yeah, that's just me being nitpicky. But
Yeah,
the
I
important
get
thing to
you.
remember, yeah, the important thing to remember though is when price did hit these wicks, we didn't see an increase in volume. So that's
Mhm.
why I'm more interested in waiting for price to, go back in and touch a little higher up. Get into this
And
area, then that's where I start looking for my bearish candle, bearish engulfing. But more importantly, I've got to have the volume prove itself. It's
yeah,
all about
yeah,
volume.
I'm looking at the chart with you. I'm looking at the futures, like alongside of you right now, myself, and I just was like
Mm-hmm.
following your time frames and stuff. And I think when I'm trying to analyze this on my own without like my normal stuff, like just looking at it from like a volume perspective and
Yeah.
a bit of technical stuff, I was about to mention like on that 1 hour chart when you see it kind of wick up into your zone and then it came back down and not being
Mm-hmm.
like essentially enough confirmation yet to short it. Um, I literally, just by looking at the volume of this 1 hour candle and it being so weak, it gives me less confidence of like, because to just step back 1 minute, if like for example, like I talk about, like one of my favorite setups is when I see a spike through an area and then it immediately gets shoved back down. Like let's say in this situation, it spikes up into your
Mm-hmm.
area of supply. It just gets shoved back down, but it's on like heavy volume. That I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of that, and then getting short at the close of that time period or whatever, and just get short, put your stop above the wick, and be done with it, and
Mm-hmm.
likely or hopefully see it break down. But when I see it on small volume, like weak volume, that to me is just like buyers are still in control, obviously. It's going to come back down. They might buy up more to then shove it up a little
Right.
bit further into that supply zone. And then that's where you
Yeah.
would be looking to get shorts and where the real sellers are. And then you really pile in there and, maybe get a bigger move to the downside. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can have the absolute sexiest zone possible, and if there's no if there's no volume, then I'm just not interested because at the end of the day, volume is what moves our markets. I
Yeah.
got to have the if there's no excitement when price enters a zone. Well, did I pick a good zone at all or not? And apparently not, right? So, um, and then also
Yeah.
I love using Confluence as well. So the Aussie index. Okay, this is just the Australian currency index. So same thing. It's just ahead of, or it hasn't yet touched a supply area, right? So that's another reason
Mhm.
why I just want to wait on the Aussie dollar pair itself. Well, I like to look at the Aussie futures as well, Australia futures, and they're always going to look
Yeah.
very similar. The currency futures versus the regular index. So I just like to use that as confluence. So
Hmm.
if I see the futures, if I see the index also get into a supply, the same time the Australia US dollar pair gets into a supply, well, that's just adding extra confluence. So, same thing with the dollar because the dollar is the other side. That's the quote currency on the Aussie dollar. So I'd love to see the dollar come down to a demand, the Dixie, and then the
Yeah.
same thing with the dollar index itself, the DXY. I mean, it's all these confluences just help help as odds enhancers whenever you try to decide if you want to buy something in supply or demand.
Hmm. Yeah.
Love those confluences.
Me too, man. Me too. Um, I can show my chart if
Yeah.
we want to, or if you have another pair that you want to actually go through anything,
No,
we definitely can. But I can also show my
no.
screen too.
Yeah, I'm pretty well
Yeah.
good. I'm just basically watching that and a couple things that are 15, 20 pips away. So nothing of late. So yeah, back end if you would show Mr. Paul's screen.
Yeah. So again, looking at gold here, and we are consolidating. We had that little round top happen where I got out. Then we're now consolidating right here. And if it's been how many minutes? It's been roughly 20 minutes where we've just consolidated in this 33.43 to 33.41 area. 33.41 being that area of support that I was taught, that like mini area of support. Nothing super crazy, but it could be significant depending on how price action plays out over the next, let's say, 10 to 30 minutes. But if I was looking to probably get into a trade again on gold, the volume is pretty decent as well throughout this whole time. Like, volume's been pretty good and consistent. I would be my initial bias is still to be long, um,
Mhm.
especially because I have like an anchored VWAP essentially starting at 9:30 p.m. and that anchored VWAP is like right where we're trading right now. So it's like this area is essentially a very comfortable area at the moment, and with the move up in gold, generally speaking, and then that exponential move here, where I think it cooling down by dropping here and then settling a little bit right at that support area of 33.41 ish, makes sense for it to
Mhm.
try and even make another leg upwards towards that point of control of the previous outcry session. But so yeah, that would be my bias, would be to get long closer to the 33.41 area and then put my stop like at 33.40. Like, I would have a short stop if I was gonna be playing this trade. But
Mhm.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just kind of explaining what my thought process is while looking at, the executions that are occurring at the moment on the order flow and how the charts are looking. That's just like what my brain is thinking at the moment. I would still be long biased, but the risk would be very tight. I'd have a very tight risk and want to get in at the bottom of that consolidation range
Yeah.
of 33.41. So I'm never trying to
Um,
get in at 33.42.7 if I can help it. So
yeah. How do you speaking of ticks, how do you measure a tick? Like is it 40, is it 33.40 tick, 33.41 tick? How does that lingo
so
work?
yeah, so the tick size being the minimum fluctuation size of the contract, it can't move any less than the tick. And the tick in gold is zero point 0.1. So
Okay.
um, so if we're trading at 33,342, the tick up is 3,342.1 and 3,341.9 up and down. So
Okay, so it's the 10th or the 10th of the okay, the 10th of the
right.
dollar. Is that right? Okay. Okay,
Yes,
so 10
exactly.
cents is a tick. Okay.
Yeah, so there's
That makes
10
sense.
ticks in a dollar of the ounce, and each of those ticks is worth $1 in value.
Yeah.
So on
Oh,
the
okay.
micros, on the micros, on the e mini gold, each of those ticks is $10. So a one
Oh, wow.
point or a $1 move on an e mini gold would be $100 in contract value. So
Yeah, okay.
um,
Okay. That
10
makes a little more
times the
sense now.
leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's just like with
Reminds
your
me of
Forex where, you have a decimal point, like there's whatever the last decimal point is of your Forex trading, that
mhm.
would be whether it's 0.00001, that 0.00001 is the minimum amount it can possibly transact at or
Yeah, that would
whatever.
be the pipette, but it's usually the
Right.
second decimal is pip. I don't ever use pipette. I don't know anybody that's ever used that terminology for the very last decimal. It's we usually just go by the second to last decimal for the pip, and that's it.
Well, yeah, they like so
Yeah.
pips generally would whatever like that minimum fluctuation is, that would be the equivalent
Hmm.
to the futures. And look at this. I mean, the gold is just broke out of that range to the upside. So
Yep,
shame
sure
on me for
has.
not just putting my cowboy hat on and getting back into a trade. But um, Coach Darrell would have been in this in a second. Are you kidding me? The guy can't stay away
Oh yeah,
from making trades. So shame on me for
and
not
then
getting into it and channeling my inner
and then
Coach Darrell. But
he'd be passing it off to Coach Troy up a little higher, right around the
yeah,
33, a
exactly.
little higher. They just play ping pong back and
Yeah,
forth.
that's so true.
Hot
Yeah,
potato.
Troy was
The
getting in right when I
perma
was getting out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Uh, that's funny. Too
Yeah.
freaking
Well,
good.
that's similar to me and Coach Michael. He'll be talking. There's been a few trades where he's talking about doing one thing, and it never fails. It seems like I've got a spot a little bit further away from that point to take the opposite side. It's just cool how you can see how so many trading styles how they all overlap each other in a way, like a lot of them do, and how you
Yeah,
can make money in all kinds of different trading styles. And he's obviously really good with some of the indicators and price action he uses. Um,
yeah,
I'm just the one that's super strict and only trades in the direction of the fundamentals. I just keep it. That's just my own personal real rule. It's not for everybody because I miss out on a lot of trades. Yeah, they're going against the fundamentals, but they still make a big move in the opposite direction of it. So,
yeah, and it affects your
but
probability, like that you've witnessed. So it makes sense to not put yourself at a probabilistic disadvantage to what you're used to. So
right. And that's something, Paul, that took me 10 years well, not 10 years, but several years to find the patience to do. Because, yeah, I used to,
mhm.
like, I probably would have been good if I would have understood the futures. I probably would have fallen in love with it because it's a lot of action, right? You're constantly having to pay attention to your level two, jump in and out. Uh, I'm probably glad that I didn't discover futures because I could very easily see myself just loving the addiction of the adrenaline. Kind of, I mean, that's the same reason I like penny stocks. I haven't messed with penny
Yeah,
stocks for a couple of years, but I am actually going to get a new account and get back into it soon. Just something to play with on
dabble.
the side. But
Yeah,
yeah, it took a long time for me to avoid all the trades. I used to buy every supply and demand zone like it was like they all worked, like it was the magic bullet. But yeah,
hmm
I finally realized why certain zones work and why certain zones do. And I spent all that time buying supply and demand zones early on that are in the retail area. That little gray box I drew, for a
yep.
few times on here. Um, Man, when I figured that out, I'm like, oh, get away from those zones. Stick with the institutional zones, and then I'm golden. But it took a long time to get that patience.
Nah,
So
of course. I mean,
really,
just like everybody else, like just like all like just like all of our other coaches, it just is a lot of time investment to a lot of time investment and capital investment essentially to learn these things. And uh, that's just how it goes. Like it's very rare that people are able to become extremely successful in this business in a short period of time. It is it takes a lot of experience and dedication to really, get those fine-tuned strategies and plans under your belt to really try to take advantage of the markets in the proper way. And I just wish that I had heeded my own bias advice and gotten long again in gold, because of course it is doing the most right now. And I love seeing this, by the way. Like, even though I'm not even in it, I still love seeing it,
Yeah.
because it's getting me. I'm learning right now as as this is all happening. I'm learning about gold right now, and that's like a win for me. Let alone the trade earlier that was successful, but this is a win for me in understanding gold as a product and how it behaves
Um,
with certain
yeah.
conditions. But
Real quick.
we have 1 minute.
Yeah. All I was going to say is, Japan, they did have their rate decision come out unchanged just a short while ago. So that's probably partly why you're seeing that spike right there. And
Ah,
yeah, it looks like I just wanted to look real quick at the Nikkei. Yeah, Nikkei, a little bit of a spike too, nothing crazy. Dollar, Japanese yen. Uh, Looks like it's bounced down into a demand zone, but I've got it more of a neutral rating at the moment. So, yeah, we'll probably see a little spike. It's moved about 20, 25 pips up and down. But yeah, it's basically a nothing burger, right? We already expected that. So, 3 reports today,
yeah,
3 forecasted numbers hit
awesome.
for policy rates.
That was yeah, that was good to. Yeah, I would have never. I wouldn't have. I wasn't paying attention to that. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. Makes a lot of sense. Um,
Yeah, that's just
all right. Well,
the orders
it
getting hit.
is.
That's
It is
it.
11 p.m. I
No
mean, we
fault.
are
Yeah.
2 hours flew by like that, man.
It's like that.
I
Time
I will
flies when you're with a
say.
friend, right?
Exactly, man. It's so true. And thank you, everybody, for being a part of the session, participating in the chat. Congratulations again to Octopus for the 50K challenge account,
Right.
winning the 50K challenge account. And we'll see you again tomorrow. We'll be back on at Quiet Markets tomorrow at 11 p.m. Eastern time, or 9 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry. So make sure to tune in. All right. Coach Tiger, it was a pleasure. I'll see
Yep.
you
You
tomorrow.
too, brother. Sounds
See ya.
good. We'll see you. Have a good one. Later.
You too.
Hola Prime. Trade with transparency.